You lose nothing in trying. Everybody nowadays is so afraid to simply just try at the goals that they want to achieve. We're so worried about everything that could go wrong, everything we could lose, everything that might happen horribly if we even tried to apply ourselves and put any effort into anything that we never actually start. See, the things that make people so happy about themselves, the things that people actually truly value, and the things that make us feel good are the feelings we get from trying. The feelings we give ourselves from actually doing the things we know we should be doing. This is simply just acting in alignment. And yet everybody's so afraid that if they even test acting in alignment, they even try to work on their dreams, they even go after it, that it's going to end in such a way that they can't come back from it, and so they never even take a step. But I want you to truly ask yourself, what would you lose? What would you lose if you put a little bit more effort into your life, into reaching your goals? Well, let's ask ourselves. Maybe it's time? Well, can't we get this? We have so much time. And it's so crazy in the fact that you're afraid of losing time, but your indecision about doing anything, about trying, about doing, like making a decision on your goals, on what you're gonna do to actually better your life, is wasting more of it. We have so much time, yet we also have so little. And the more we waste through our indecisions about trying and thinking about what we might lose, is simply just time we could have actually used putting into something. Okay, well, maybe we'll lose energy. Oh man, well, it's gonna be really tiring to have to go after my goals. Man, it's gonna be more tiring to look back from the future with disappointment, regret, and guilt about not actually doing anything with your life without ever actually taking action. How many times have you already had to look back on the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years of your life, however many, and ask why you just didn't start? Why you didn't try a little bit harder? Well, we're gonna dive into that and why we just don't take that effort. Where's that fear coming from? But that energy, it's only gonna get less. The older you get, the less energy you're gonna get. When you're young is when you really need to try. And the older you get, no matter at what stage, you're not going to constantly regenerate this. So when we don't try any harder, we're already losing energy. We're using our energy on not making decisions, about worrying about fear, about worrying about what could go wrong. And so, oh, I'm not gonna try because then maybe I'll be tired and it's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take a lot of work. What's gonna take a lot of work is having to work even longer into your 60s, 70s, possibly for our generation to our 80s until we die, because you didn't make a decision to better your life, because you didn't take the risk on yourself. That's what's gonna take energy. That's what's gonna take time. The regret and the guilt and the shame of not doing anything is what's gonna take your time and energy. But okay, maybe you're not even worried about these two. Maybe you just feel like you don't have the money. Oh man, if I start and I fail, what if I waste all my money? This is the biggest one. This is like such a useless excuse. Would not achieving your goals, whether they bring you money, not still better your life? I would hope your goals in some way can also help finance your life, but money should be the least of your concerns, man. Money's not even real, for being honest. If you truly wanted to, you could live a life without having to worry about money. Unfortunately, not all of us want to live that life, for better or for worse. We're willing to have a little bit of materialism to have a certain life around us. But losing money should not be your concern. If anything, you should be so excited that you have the opportunity to move forward, that you get to invest in yourself so that you can better your life and potentially maybe even make some more. Not even maybe, if you were clear on your vision, if you seriously put your all into it, if you actually try at achieving your goals with some consistency and with some true effort and commitment, I guarantee you'll get much farther, and losing any of this won't even matter. Because I want you to understand, everything we just talked about is on a scale. And that scale is weighed against all your goals. All your goals, everything you want to achieve, everything you want. See, everything you think you might lose, I guarantee doesn't even compare to how great your goals are going to feel when you achieve them. How much of a better person, how much you'll evolve, how much you'll learn, how, like, all these amazing things you're going to feel because you actually worked towards achieving your goals. Yet we're so afraid of losing something in the short term that we won't understand the weight of the long term. And that is what is holding us back. That is part of this fear. Losing this is just fear. But here's the thing. Fear of the future right now, fear of what we might lose in the near future is going to become guilt, shame, and regret of what we didn't do in the past. Every time we run this same loop of fear, of worrying about whether actually doing something about our life, about trying, about making a change for ourselves, because you're the only one who can, will somehow plummet it, I guarantee the opposite will happen no matter what. We're so afraid of trying, we're so afraid of putting our effort in. But when we truly put our effort in, when we look back on the past to everything we've actually tried at, in some way, it's made us a better version of ourselves. We've learned something. Whether we've gained materially or not, we've gained internally. You've been able to look back and understand something so much better. You've refined your beliefs. You've been able to manage your feelings better. And is that not helping us pursue happiness, helping us pursue a better life, helping us get closer to our goals? Because what are our goals? Have you ever even defined them? Have you defined what your goals are so that you even know what to try at? See, so many people don't clarify these goals. When you don't clarify what it is that you want, how do you know what to even try at? And that's when things start to spiral out. Because when we don't know what to take action on, where are we supposed to start? And that's what trips so many people up. It's this fear of investing and not knowing whether you're gonna get back. But if you were clear enough on your goals, if you followed the right steps, if you just tried and put your effort into it and learned and were grateful and continued this loop of effort, consistency, and then reflection, I guarantee you would get so much farther than where you've gotten. You would cut out this loop of future regret that you're going to have by not doing anything. And I want you to avoid this. I truly do. I know I don't want this. That's why I've done stuff for my life. That's why I've taken action. I want to encourage you to do the same. And so how can we overcome these loops of fear? Fear of the future, fear of doing, fear of trying, fear of putting effort, and fear of losing, so that we can actually begin trying. So I want you to first ask yourself this question. Would you still feel good if you tried and failed? You may know the answer, but I want to explain to you how important having a good answer to this question is, and how you can actually change your answer from it making you feel bad and being afraid to it making you feel good. So let's break this down. There's person one. Person one goes and tries. Person one then fails. Okay. Well, he now has two options. He can now view failure as a dead end, as failure being the end of the road. He tried, he failed, and so now he's done. Person one views failure, looks back, he has regret, he's ashamed, and he feels bad about himself. Person one is now extremely low on the energy chart. Person one feels extremely bad about themselves. And so what ends up happening is person one then creates a belief. What would the belief be? Well, pretty simple. Trying is equal to pain. Person one now feels like trying and failing is bad. They link more pain. Why is this? It's not that trying equals pain is true. Again, it's subjective to him. The problem becomes right here. It is how person one reflects on this whole process here. And so we need to watch how we reflect. So as you can see here, when person one is reflecting back on this process, they immediately view everything as negative. They're not grateful for it. They don't look back on the journey and see the progress that they've made. They look back and see all the progress that they missed. See, if you've ever heard the saying, glass half full or glass half empty, well, he's viewing it as glass half empty. He's viewing everything as negative, as this process as damaging him, and so now he's linking more pain. But imagine we have person two. Person two does the exact same process. They try, After trying, they fail, and so now they reflect. But how is person two going to reflect? Person two is going to view the glass as half full. And so they're going to feel glad, grateful, excited. They're not excited because they failed. Maybe they are. Maybe they're excited, they tried, failed, and now have an opportunity to try again. See, this is all perspective, it's all subjective. What I want you to understand from this process is feeling bad about failing is not your permanent state. It is all just based off your perspective. And so now what ends up happening is person two links trying to pleasure. They understand that every time they try, they make progress. Person two is not only grateful that the glass is half full, person two is grateful they have a glass. They're grateful they have an opportunity to grow, to reach their goals, to make progress. See, if we can shift to being person number two, if all of us can be looking back and be grateful for everything that's happened, understand that every time you work towards your goals, it's another opportunity to learn. Be grateful for the challenges and blessings and everything that comes our way. We can then begin making massive progress because this will no longer scare you away. Trying and failing is not the scary part. The scary part is not trying at all. You are not here to fear trying. You should be afraid of fear. You should be afraid of being afraid to even try your goals. Push that out of the way. You have the ability to try. I want you to try at your goals because I know even if you fail, even if challenges come your way, which I'll be the first to tell you, challenges are guaranteed. You can overcome them. But it's all based off your perspective. How are you going to view it? Are you going to regret? Are you going to be ashamed that you failed? Are you going to feel bad? Are you going to link pain to trying? And are you going to choose suffering or are you going to choose faith? Faith that everything is happening for the perfect reason. The universe is working exactly for you. God is on your side. And so you can continue walking through with faith and trust and knowing in the fact that the more effort you put in, the closer you get to your goals. And so there's a few more questions I want you to ask yourself before we move on. Write these down. Bring out a notepad. Bring out something and seriously write down your answers to these. Pause the video and go through because I'm going to go through them with you right now. What am I afraid will happen if I fail? What am I afraid of? Truly, ask yourself. Is it looking back with regret? Is it not getting closer to your goals? What is it you're afraid of? Identify it. How would trying and succeeding feel? Describe all the pleasure of success, whether that's 6 to 12 months out, whether that's when you have a family and you've reached your goals and you hit, what would the success feel like? Truly write out the pleasure. Write out the pain of failing, write out the pleasure of success. What have I been afraid of that's holding me back? Now let's identify. What are you afraid of that is holding you back from even trying? What are you afraid of about success? Are you afraid that making more money will create more problems? Are you define the beliefs? Because I guarantee if you are not working towards success, there is fear of moving forward, fear of success, fear of not being who you are today, and afraid of being someone different tomorrow that is holding you back. We need to identify these. What could I have done 6 months ago to be further? 6 months ago, what haven't you done? What are you already able to look back on with regret because you realize you didn't make change? Look back and accept that there's stuff you know you could have done and that we need to start doing it soon. And then ask yourself, when am I going to start? Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Is it 2 weeks? Is it next month? I want you to understand, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. We need to begin as soon as possible because you don't want to be 60 months down the line, 60 years down the line looking back with even a smidge of the same regret. So, why are these questions important? What am I afraid will happen if I fail? We're revealing our fear of failure. What are we afraid will happen so that we can create beliefs that will break these? If you're afraid I'll lose time, I'll lose opportunities, understand that isn't working towards our goals the best opportunity. Understand that everything we're doing is purposeful. We can create beliefs that beat our fear of failure so we can get our fear of failure out of here. And we're going to talk more about how to overcome fear of failure. How would trying and succeeding feel? Identify the pleasure. So many people don't even get clear on their goals, why they want to achieve them, how good they're going to feel when they achieve them. If you understand how amazing you're going to feel when you actually work towards your goals, you have something to work with, to hang on to when you are trying. Understanding the pleasure of actually doing the effort, because that's what's key. It's the pleasure of the effort and moving away from the pain of not taking the action. And that's what we're doing here, down here, but we're going to step to that. What have I been afraid of that's holding me back? Identify, again, not only what are your fears of failure, what are your fears of working towards success? What are your fears about even taking the steps to try? And so, once we not only know the fear, why we're afraid of failing, how amazing it's going to feel when we succeed, what's been holding us back from starting, and we have all these things, we then know what we need to work on, especially internally. What are the beliefs and thoughts that we can create that are going to help us with this? What could I have done 6 months ago to be further? Now we're creating pain of non-action. We're understanding in the last 6 months I haven't done as much as I could have to actually work towards my goals. I'm sure you wouldn't be watching this far if in some way you didn't resonate with this, am I right? If you didn't resonate in some way with this pain of not making it to your goals as soon as you would like to, identify what is the pain of not taking more action, of trying a little bit harder, so that we identify how pleasurable it's going to be to succeed and how painful it is when we understand and when we look back and have this regret and shame and guilt of not actually taking the action. And then decide, when are you going to start? When are you going to start taking action on all this? When are you going to start taking action on your life and begin actually trying? And so once you have this all down, let's now step into how we can break this loop of failure and this loop of, this loop of fear that we feel like we're stuck in. And so to dive on in, how do we overcome the fear of trying? Well, step number 1 is to focus on everything that could go right. Our entire life, we've generally focused on everything that could go wrong. But here's the problem. Every time we focus on what could go wrong, when trying, doing one thing and one thing only. We're linking pain to trying. See, when you imagine everything that could go wrong, all the poor scenarios, everything you could lose, all the mistakes you could make, how embarrassed you're gonna feel, you're linking more pain to trying. And when you link more pain to something, you wanna move away from it. And so the more pain you continue to link when trying, the less you're gonna wanna do it. And so all we need to do is flip to the opposite. We think about everything that could go right when trying. We simply just start visualizing everything that could go right. Because let's be honest, you're really amazing at visualizing. I guarantee 90% of you here could visualize the shit out of everything you don't want to happen in your life. You could visualize you don't want your partner cheating, you don't want your family to leave you, you don't want to lose money, you want to have your house, you want to be safe, don't want to be, all these different things. We can imagine what would happen if it all went wrong. But have we ever spent time imagining everything going right? To actually putting our focus on what we want to happen. Because you have to understand where focus goes, energy flows. And wherever you put your focus and where you put your energy, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to unfold. Every time you imagine everything that could go wrong, you are simply just giving that emotional charge and putting energy into that scenario. And so if you can start focusing on everything that could go right, start focusing on all the positive outcomes, you'll actually start working to achieve them because you're linking pleasure towards it. So Cole, how do I start thinking of the positive stuff? That's more easier said than done. You simply start doing it consciously and eventually becomes unconscious. Every morning when you wake up, for 10 minutes, imagine achieving all your goals. Visualize success. See it playing in your mind. See it from every different angle, in different colors, in different speeds, fast, slow, from different perspectives all over. And the more you visualize it, the more ingrained it will be. See, you worry so much because you worry about everything that could go wrong. You visualize worrying so much that you actually feel afraid. But when you start visualizing everything that goes right, you start actually getting the motivation to work and do the effort because you're raising your vibration. Just start working on visualizing everything that could go right, and I guarantee it'll start becoming your default the more you work on it. To drive this home, I want to make one more point. Imagine you're told you have to do the chores, right? Well, you're not going to be motivated to do the chores unless there's one thing attached to it. Pain. Here's the thing. We won't move towards something unless there's pleasure or we're moving away from pain. As humans, we constantly want to move away from pain. That's why I mentioned the more pain you link towards actually trying to achieve your goals, the more you're going to want to move away from it. And so you're not gonna do your chores and be motivated until there's pain. Why would you get your chores done unless there's pleasure towards doing it or pain for not doing it? And so, if your parent just told you to do chores, but there was no motivation and no pain, there wasn't a pleasure to get them done, such as a reward, such as some good reason to do it, or something you're avoiding, such as a beating, such as scolding, then you're not gonna do them. But say, for example, you have to do your chores to get your game back. Okay, well now, what have we done? There's pleasure. Your parents have told you, you will not get your game, you cannot play the game until you do your chores. And so what have they done? They've linked pleasure towards doing the action, and so you'll do it. Likewise, if they told you, do your chores or get a beating, what have they done? They linked pain to move away from it. So now instead of not doing your chores and getting the beating, you're gonna do your chores. That way we can get rid of that, and so there's no longer any pain. That way we get the chores done. Hopefully that makes sense there. And so that's reason one. Focus on everything that could go right. We want to move away from pain and move towards pleasure. And so the more pain we create towards achieving our goals, the less we want to achieve them. Because we're linking pain. If you link pleasure, imagine everything that could go right. Every amazing feeling you're going to feel, and just give that to yourself now, I guarantee you'll feel motivated to actually start moving towards them instead of moving away from them. And so step number two, once we begin focusing on what could go right, we need to switch how we view success. We need to redefine success from results to putting in effort. See, so many people have been told their entire life they can't be happy, they can't feel good, they are not successful until they get results. But it's actually the opposite. When we can switch to effort-based feelings, to input-based feelings, and give ourselves the emotion internally and feel good for doing the inputs, we actually create a long-term solution to hit our goals. See, here's the thing. Imagine this graph here. This is how everybody thinks success works. That once they get up here, they'll reach their goal, right? We think, oh, over time, my inputs will consistently work. But let's see it in actuality. In actuality, it's something like this. You start slow and then eventually you start shooting up. But here's the thing. Imagine you set a deadline to reach your goals for right here, right? So you thought over time, this is results and this is time. Say you set a deadline to reach a certain mark right here. Say you're like, okay, I want to be here at this point in time, right? But in actuality, you're down here. You see the difference? It's not huge, but if you're basing yourself off getting the result of needing to make a certain amount of money, of needing to be at a certain point, at needing to have a certain grade, at all these different things, if you're so results-based, you'll never see the potential that you'll build by just doing the inputs consistently. See, effort is what builds long-term success, not focusing on results. Because when the people focus on results and don't feel like they've made it far enough is when they quit, is when they drop off. But in actuality, we would have been all the way up here if we had just kept going for a little bit longer. See, it's not about the intensity, it's about the consistency. We need to shift our perspective to understand that the results do not define us. They don't define our book. See, every single day we wake up is just a page. We're just writing the next chapter. But if you're simply basing your results off of this chapter right here, and not understanding that there will be more to come, that this little challenge that you're facing is not defining the entire book, it's just defining this chapter, that the effort you put in every day to write a better page will consistently build to make a better chapter, next story down the line, next chapter down the line, you will see this massive gain over time. But so many people are focused on if this chapter is a failure, on if the results of today aren't good enough, how are the results of tomorrow going to be any better? They're going to be better because of the compounding effort, because we're learning. We're shifting from viewing failure as something to feel bad about to viewing failure and challenges in our past as something to be grateful for. The more grateful you are for, the more effort you're going to want to put in, and the more effort you put in over time creates long-term success. I want you to understand that, because it's not the results. Stop letting people judge you on the results. You know how many athletes, how many millionaires, how many people had to grind for success to get where they are? And if you continue to base your results off a short time span, off of a small few pages in your life even, you have to understand we are living, we have not so much time. I hate to use this term, but I just want you to understand that this chapter, this 1 or 2 year period that you're looking at, maybe in the past 5, 10 year period, doesn't define your whole life. It is simply just a chapter in this amazing book that you're writing. And it wouldn't be good if there weren't any bumps in the road. If there wasn't this valley here, it wouldn't have made this massive success even worth it. You wouldn't have felt grateful for it if over time it just consistently stayed smooth and clean with no challenges along the path, a smooth road. It's not a good story, man. Just understand, the results do not define you. Stop being afraid and stop feeling like a failure and that your efforts aren't doing anything and base them off of something external. Start feeling validated. Start loving yourself for simply just putting in the effort every day. The results do not define your worth. Your effort does. Put in the effort every day, and I guarantee you will not only get closer to your goals, but you will develop a better feeling about yourself. You can base your self-worth off this effort, and then you feel motivated every day to continue taking the effort and continue reaching towards your goals and continue trying. And so the third and final point on overcoming the fear of trying is simply just the understanding that everything was uncomfortable until it wasn't. Everything we've ever done, all the first experiences we've had, the first day at school, the first date, first time at the gym, all of these experiences were uncomfortable until they weren't. They were all uncomfortable when they were first. And we just need to understand that the threshold for comfort is so low. But we always don't perceive it like that. There's what we perceive the uncomfortability to be. Up here, uncomfy. We oftentimes view it as extremely high. All of these you can now do again because you're not viewing it as something terrifying. But we view so many situations the first time as so uncomfortable that we're so scared to even start. But we don't even realize the starting variability for comfort is like right here. It's not high at all, guys. We can laugh about it at this point, but are there so many things that we're so afraid to do and start because it's a first, because we've never done it? We have to understand and just look back at the experiences we've done so many times over. How many things have been terrifying before you did it for the first time? Going to your first concert, having your first partner, starting that first business, so many of these other things, and we can realize how many times we've done this. The first time you went to school, imagine your first day of high school. You're a teenager, you're so scared, you're gonna have all these big kids, and you're scared for the first day of school. And then it's the second, and then it's the third, and then it's the fourth. And that feeling of, oh, it's gonna be so uncomfy, dude, it's not even there. It's not even prevalent because we view this threshold for uncomfortability as so high when actually you're gonna be comfy instantly. The second you step into it, it pretty much washes away. When you have these experiences that you think are going to be so terrifying, so distraught, so like fear-filled, you do them and they're instantly alleviates. You go on that date and you're so scared and you're like, oh, how's it gonna go? I'm so nervous, and then as soon as if you're just nervous about being on the date, obviously, if you're nervous about what's gonna happen afterwards, you might stay nervous throughout the date. But if you're just nervous about meeting the person and you meet them, it goes away. You realize we're just people, we're just talking. Same thing at the gym. You might be scared your first day at the gym, people are looking at you, I don't know what I'm doing, and then the second, and then the third, and then the fourth. And you get over it. It goes away. And so why don't we just keep that base understanding for everything? That uncomfortable feeling is there for everything. We just need to embrace it. I'm not telling you you need to rationally push it out the way and not feel it. No. I'm just telling you, why don't we accept it? Why don't we just allow it to be and just laugh at it? Just smile at the fact that we're so human, we still feel uncomfortable. That we're just children, essentially. We're just scared children inside. And you know what? We can just laugh at that. We can understand that the child inside of us is always going to be a little nervous about the firsts. But once we do it a few times, once we take the action, once we just get over that initial, it's just fear, just that initial uncomfortability, we can get through it. Whether you describe it as being uncomfortable, whether you describe it as being afraid, whether you describe it as terror, Just understand, once you step into it, once you do it, once you approach that person, once you start that business, once you read that book or whatever you've been putting off, that fear of uncomfortability, the fear of trying, the fear of rejection, it's not as weighted as we think. We think it's going to absolutely pull us down. We think this fear of whatever, this rejection, is going to be a nightmare. We view it as being something that's going to absolutely tank us, and we're gonna hit rock bottom, and dude, let's be honest, it happens and we're still right here. We're still us. We still go on the next day. Are you really going to let it pull you all the way down here? Or are you just gonna understand that this is my base level? This is where I flow. This is truly just where I am. And that's all it is to it. There's nothing else. There's just us. There's just us as people. We just feel as we feel. We just are as we are. And so instead of resisting this, instead of sitting through this uncomfortable feeling and letting it take over us, just move through it. Just take the action, just actually try, and I guarantee you're gonna feel so much better after just trying, as you know. I'm telling you things you already know. Isn't that crazy? You know trying will make you feel better and let you still let the pain of even working towards it hold you back. And so, you know what to do at this point. Taking action, moving forward, and just trying. So to wrap all these points up for you guys, I just want you to understand that everything we've talked about here is just your mindset. It is simply all just your perspective on the world around you. If you can begin to master your mindset, begin to master this internal world, you can overcome these issues. If you continue to view everything as external, as something out of your control, we can't do anything about these. We can only do things about these when we take responsibility for our mindset and our perspective and decide to change our beliefs. Focusing on what could go right is simply just changing where you're directing your thoughts. It's changing where our mental images are. Effort over results is just changing our beliefs. Beliefs about what is success. Success is effort. It's not just the results. Again, we're focusing on the effort. And the idea that it's not scary. Again, these are just thoughts. It's beliefs. Beliefs and understanding of the fact that everything around us, everything we've done up until this point was at one point a little scary, one point a little bit uncomfortable. And so truly just encourage you, focus on your mindset and focus on changing your perspective around the world around you. This is a journey. This is something we continue to work on over time, and you will continue to get better at it the more you work on it. And so, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, if you gained some value, please subscribe. It really does mean a lot. It helps a whole lot and shows me guys what you are enjoying. So please do, if you gained any bit of value, it really does mean a lot. And you'll get to see more amazing videos like this and my face. And so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, I also do have a free community, completely free. You can gain more lessons like this and even gain some one-on-one coaching with me, as well as ask me any questions that you do have, and I can give you my direct advice. Thank you so much. Please join. Again, subscribe if you gained some value, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much. God bless.